So, One Piece Manga Chapter 1052 has been released, and let's just say that this is pretty much more confirmation that Wano is coming to an end. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but this is going to be an amazing chapter. I know, because I read it and I'm here to review it. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm here to do my review for One Piece Manga Chapter 1052, titled New Morning. And there are some things that I'm pretty sure you all know what's going on with One Piece. It's been covered to death, but yes, it is confirmed that One Piece is going into its final arc, its final saga, and I'm very excited for it. This is something that we've all been waiting for. Literally since Wano started, we all knew, or at least I did, that One Piece was going to go into its final saga, its final act, its final arc, whatever you want to call it. One Piece is coming to an end. It is going to be ending in actually not One Piece, but Wano, as well as this section of the story, the Emperor Saga, the Four Yonko Saga, however you want to say it. It's coming to end in this chapter and the next chapter with the new arc saga, whatever you want to call it, starting in chapter 1054, which will be out around July 26th is when it's going to reappear back in Shonen Jump. So that's some news. I'm pretty sure you know all about that. So let's just skip that for now and go right into this chapter, because this is amazing when it comes to a One Piece chapter. And when it comes to what happens in this chapter, there is a lot. There's some stuff involving the Scabbards, some stuff involving the Straw Hats, the Marines, the Warlords, not the Warlords, but it's kind of like the world government, potentially an admiral. There's a lot to go over, so let's start with the small thing, which is the cover story, which is the Germa 66 cold-blooded voyage. A certain scientist failed to get away, and it is revealed that Caesar is still in Whole Cake Island, because of course he is, and most likely than not, he's going to get away with the Vinsmokes. He's going to get away with those individuals and somehow get off the island, probably going to work with Judge to create better deadly weapons, or they're probably going to kill him. Either way, we just have Caesar Clown here doing his Caesar Clownness. As we get a lot going on in this chapter, we get to see the more confirmation of the Big Mom as well as Kaido being defeated. As we focus a little bit more on the world government, we get a small tidbit for what's going to happen at the end of this chapter when we get to see one of the CP0 members who's wearing like the mask with the little furry feathers on each side of the mask, trying to report to the world government as his like transponder snail is being interrupted, where it's revealed at the end of this chapter, spoiler alert, that Rio Kugu has returned or is coming to Wano, and potentially he has a plant-based devil fruit, with the sole reasoning behind it is that he has a flower coming out of his head. I'm fairly certain it is just a straight up flower coming out of his head. So there's stuff that you can theorize about that. If not coming out of his head, it's coming out of his back. It's allowing him to fly. Heck, it could be some form of like tail, but most likely than not, it is some type of plant, most likely a dandelion of a certain extent. And that this is something that we could have foreshadowed long ago with the idea that he hasn't eaten in multiple years, and most likely than not, it's because he's able to get energy and food from sunlight. If he has like a plant logia or like a plant like paramecia or a plant zone, it could really literally be anything. But that's something interesting. We're going to get Rio Kugu in the next chapter alongside some potential bounty reveals, because another part that we got in this chapter involves why Apu was here. Like, why was Apu in Wano? And the most obvious and straightforward reason is that he is a snitch. He literally told about what happened in Wano to the world government, because that is what Apu does. So everything that happened in Wano, the world is going to know about. And from what we get with his dialogue, he has revealed to everyone that there are new bounties as well as new individuals who are touted as emperors of the sea. So this is going to be exciting. And there's really a few ways this can really go. One way is that Kid, Law, and Luffy are now emperors of the sea, so there are 5 emperors, the Goko. Another idea is that Luffy is considered an official emperor, and then either Kid or Law is considered like the other emperor that helped defeat Big Mom. Or maybe it's just that they have announced that both Kid and Law are emperors, and Luffy was already an emperor, so he's not mentioned in the paper. Either way, they are going to get major bounty increases, and we're going to see those bounties next chapter, potentially with Rio Kugu's actual face being revealed. And actually going from Hapu, something interesting when it comes to the ideas or what is happening to the worst generation, the 11 supernovas or the super rookies, or 13, I'm pretty sure it's 11. Yeah, it's 11. We get a little more with both Drake and, weirdly enough, Hawkins. And what we get with Hawkins is very interesting because it could be alluding to character development or character growth seen from Hawkins. It's just a couple of pages of Hawkins and Drake talking, as Hawkins basically confirms that the person who had a 1% chance of survival was him, and that from what we're seeing, he knew that he was going to potentially die, but that this was the path that he was going to walk because he didn't want to go and be on Kid's side, most likely because he felt guilt or remorse for betraying Kid even though he fought to survive, and that if he stayed with Kaido, he knew that he had a 1% chance of surviving. And we do not get confirmation of whether or not Hawkins is alive or dead at this moment, but the idea and the concept that they are setting up is that he had a 1% chance of survival, is that potentially he did die here. Because we have most likely Drake surviving this entire time as he's still able to talk, but Hawkins is the one that falls to the ground and is unable to speak, potentially because his lifeless body falls and hits the ground. So the implication is that Hawkins is dead, which would be very interesting and really cool because it means that one of the 11 supernova has officially died within the canon of the story. And that's very interesting because it shows how dangerous and how powerful the new world is. And really, if you do not have the convictions to be in the new world, then it's going to pretty much be the end of you. So that's something interesting to think about. Since we're talking about death, we get more confirmation of who died at the war at Onigashima, where to tie in where we get to this point, pretty much everyone in Wano is celebrating. People are happy that they are able to celebrate, that they're able to drink clean water, that they're able to eat as much as they want, and that they're going to have a festival celebrating who defeated Kaido, celebrating Momonosuke being the shogun. Everyone in Wano is excited and ecstatic, even to the point where now they're about to change history literally by teaching the kids the truth of the Kozuki clan. But what is important is the reveal of who actually were unable to survive this war, who died. And as many people probably expected, Ashura and Izo are confirmed dead in this chapter, because you just have Kinemon as well as Kawamatsu, as we also get to see that Onimaru is here, so we get to see their reunion. But they are in Ringo erecting shrines to Odin, to the other daimyo, as well as to Ashura and Izo, as ways of commemorating their loss in this war so that they will be remembered and can have a proper burial. And this is very interesting because it's coming from Kinemon, who says a very singular line that could be very telling of what could potentially happen to some of these characters in the future. The line that Kinemon says is that if anyone else were to happen to die, that he doesn't know that he could take it. And with the reveal that a potential admiral is coming to Wano, this could be foreshadowing to more characters potentially dying in Wano, or at the very least on Wano Kuni. So yeah, those are pretty much the more interesting and story-driven bits of this entire chapter, but everything else is pretty much just fun comedic moments with the Straw Hats, as well as Momonosuke, as well as Komurasaki, aka Hiyori. And the scenes that we have are not really that impactful. We just see that they are hanging out together. They're even bathing together, as we get to see Yamato bathing with the guys and Kiku, who is also there bathing with the women. We also get to see both Luffy as well as Zoro are pretty much up and at it. We get to see all of the Straw Hats being happy. We're seeing Momonosuke being slapped by freaking Nami for jumping into her boobs because he's a bigger person. He's actually looks like an adult, even though he has the mind of a child. And this is very cool because there's some alluding to the idea that because he's now an adult, his body is a lot stronger because he gets slammed and thrown throughout this chapter, but it doesn't hurt him at all. or potentially that it does and he's just faking it, but we're just getting to see the Straw Hats hanging out. We're getting to see very comedic moments. We get to see how Yamato is being incorporated into the crew and that potentially they are going to eventually leave Wano and be a part of the crew, hopefully. As well as it gets just some small confirmations that all of the ships are ready to set sail soon enough and that this all takes place within several days after the war at Onigashima. So overall, this was a really cool and exciting chapter for One Piece. We get a few more things resolved, we get a few more things opening up to be resolved, and we're possibly going to get a lot more within the next chapter as we're getting the introduction of an admiral, what's going to be going on with the Straw Hats, and eventually whether or not Yamato will officially join the crew. So overall, really enjoyed this chapter, really felt emotional about this chapter, and think that it's going to be very interesting moving forward, and I'm just very excited to see what's going to be happening next. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about this chapter. Hopefully you enjoyed the chapter. Leave your comments down below on what you thought about this chapter. Leave a like on the video if you liked it, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see more One Piece content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!